It's your girl, Agent Brandy Davis, and today I'm coming to you from 707 McKewin, which is an investment property of my friend Edwin Claude. This video is a little different than the open houses that we've done before, to whereas in the past we looked at open houses and invited you to come out and buy a home. This home tour is really to give you an idea of the possibilities that you can actually have when it comes to buying your first investment property. So this is Edwin's first investment property. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go inside, talk to Edwin about being a first-time investor, be able to tour his home, and then we want to invite you out, not to his house, which is already under contract, but out to our Investors Lunch and Learn, which will be Saturday, November 2nd. And details will be in the comments for this video. Let's go inside and take a look at 707 McKewin.
Welcome.
So this is Edwin. Edwin, thank you for letting us into your investment property. And so go ahead and just show us around a little bit, and then we'll get to talking about what it's like to be a first-time investor.
You got it. As you can see here, we're in the living room, which was very well staged by a friend of mine, Erica. She actually picked the door, the color of the door that everyone loves so much. Into the dining room. We tried to kind of go with the smart theme where we could. So we put a nest in here, which you normally don't have in these price points.
So what is this area? So if we take a look from the dining room out to the living room, what did this area look like before?
This was about the same. This sheetrock here. Okay, so this was a little deeper.
So on our walls we have sheetrock. And
Yeah.
what was it when you bought it?
It was plaster.
Okay.
And it still is plaster. So this is interesting how we went about doing this. So all of the front is the same. This whole side of the house is the original walls. Okay. The ceilings had to all come out. This was like the panel ceilings, and it was all falling apart and all that kind of stuff. And then here we had an indentation, so we put sheetrock. And if you look close enough, this is actually plaster here. This is the original plaster of the house, but we sanded it down to where you could barely even tell.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so if you look close enough, like it's kind of like rough here.
Mm-hmm. I do see how it's rough.
So
this is not texture. This is just the plaster.
The sheetrock basically ends right here, because we wanted it to be all one, just like flowing situation instead of having like another dip into the wall. It's not bad.
Mm-hmm. So the heart of any home that sells it is typically the kitchen. So let's look at the kitchen.
Originally, this was a hot mess. Okay, the microwave was here. There was a stove here.
So essentially, you changed the layout of the kitchen.
We changed the whole layout. Yeah, there was a stove was here. Obviously, there was no island. The floors were atrocious, and I hated the way this whole thing was aligned because you had stove, microwave, small cabinet space that was about 6 inches, small cabinet space about 6 inches here to the left of the stove, and all this had nothing. It was literally just nothing. And the window actually came down almost to the floor. So I cut the window so that way we could have like this kind of breakfast bar type of area situation going on.
And then you can have the golden triangle to where you have your refrigerator, your sink, and then your stove.
Yes, yes. And then we put it this way, obviously, so you can have the stove and the sink right behind each other. So
folks who are going to be watching our video are our target audience are those who are thinking about becoming first-time investors, but they haven't made that first step, or they're clients of mine and we're going out and looking at properties. So what got you into investing? How did you go from this is a great idea to here we are standing in your first home that's already under contract?
Like all of us, we we have these ideas and things we want to do, and it just sits on the shelf.
Yes.
It sits on the shelf. It sits on the shelf. I'm 38 years old. I got nothing to hide, right? I've been wanting to do something in real estate since I was like 28, probably.
Okay.
Bought my first condo in Baltimore, and then after that, I was, I was always interested in doing something in real estate, but I just never really made the push. So New Year's resolution this year was we're going to do something in real estate, flip a house. Probably said that for the last 2-3 years straight. And
New Year's,
yeah, but the first couple of years was get out of debt. So me and my wife made it a point to, we had to pay off a ton of debt. So we did that. We just have our cars in the house, and no, recurring credit card debt or anything like that. And but I got to credit my wife because it probably would have been one of those things that we just sat on again. But DJ Envy, he's a popular DJ in New York. He does the Breakfast Club. So yeah, I don't know if you know, he has he's gotten into real estate very heavily. And he works for the gentleman. His name is Caesar. It's like one of his partners on when he does real estate throughout the country. He goes by flipping _NJ on Instagram. My wife bought us tickets to a seminar that they did in Atlantic City.
Okay.
So we went there, stayed the night, brought our son with us, family and everything, and we did the seminar. And what I liked about it was everybody looked like me. And I have friends in real estate. I have like 5 friends that are active flippers, have multiple rentals and all these things. I mean, I have the resources, but it's like you want to get out and actually, meet people and not necessarily use your network all the time and just learn some things on your own, So went there, everybody looked like me, people, ran Jordans, they had hoodies on, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like everybody's suited and booted and looks like something that is like hard for me to attain. So that's really what I took from it, and the way they organized it was really good.
What made you decide to do a fix and flip versus a fix and hold?
I think I'm a straight shooter with this stuff. So there's no huge rhyme or reason. I just wanted to flip a house. My wife and I were, watching a whole lot of HGTV, which I think is, I think people like us and people that get into flipping from watching HGTV are maniacs. And that's a whole other,
It's a whole nother video. But
it's a whole, they're playing with the game. I think, and I'm actually one of them, but it definitely inspired us, So yes, I wanted to do a flip and try it, and so to answer your question, I mean, what made us do it was we just fell in love with the idea of doing a flip. Through doing a flip, I realized okay, now I want to, there's going to be situations where I want to flip, and there's going to be other situations where I want to buy and hold. And there are a lot of, the tax advantages to buying and holding are a lot better than the flip with the capital gains and all that kind of stuff. I'd rather take the cash out. You can't tax me on the cash out. You're doing less work on a rental. So it's and then it's the long term money. So really just trying to. So when I first got in, I was like flip. Now I want to mix in the long term with the short term money, and I'm actually looking at a property after this to just potentially look at it as a rental. I'm not exactly sure. If you guys want to roll.
So what made this property the one?
It's a very tough question for me. I saw like 3 properties prior to this. Honestly, it was a rookie thing, to be completely honest. It was so the 3 properties all within a mile, or even like a half a mile from here.
So you knew you wanted the Waverly area?
I knew I wanted to be close. That's a good question. Now I wanted to be close to Morgan.
Okay.
And then what I realized here is that Towson, Loyola, Morgan, and John Hopkins are really close to here.
Why did you want to be closer to Morgan?
I just felt in my mind, because I'm a rookie investor, I thought that I'd be able to catch like a student just graduating that's looking to purchase a house,
Right.
which actually ended up happening You know.
So you got the person who bought the house. The person who you had
the contract in is not Morgan. Actually, there's two brothers.
Mm-hmm.
One is Morgan, the other one was John Hopkins. So it ended up, and they're in their mid-20s. So that's actually what ended up happening.
Oh wow.
Because this isn't like a family type of neighborhood. I feel like it's kind of turning into there is a lot of family here. I'm wrong in saying that, but as far as the new purchases that are happening, it's the younger millennials. They're not worried about the school system, So I tried to put some things. My wife and I to put some things in here that would drive the impulse of that young millennial.
Yes,
which
it's
is
a
why
barn cooler that's downstairs.
Right,
there's no tub. It's a walk-in shower.
Like this thing plays music. It's Bluetooth. It changes colors.
I'm not a millennial, but that was smart.
Yeah, so I did. It's a lot of smart home type of things are in here, and it's funny talking to you, but I actually got one.
So you come into the property. What are the numbers on 707?
Numbers on 707. So I'm gonna be frank with a lot of this because I don't want nobody to get burnt like I did. But so I used I was having problems finding property because I was looking on market, and one of my other mentors said you should talk to a wholesaler. I'm like, all right, cool. So I called a wholesaler that I got from another mentor. I got like 3, 4 mentors.
Smart.
Yeah, and I reached out to the guy. He sent me a couple properties. This was one of them. Went in, looked at it, and they wanted $80,000 for it. I did my analysis of what I wanted to make from a profit standpoint, and I came up with 68 that should be the most I should offer for the house.
Okay.
So I go to 68. They counted to 73, and I took it. Main reason why I took it was because all of the houses I was looking at in this area, they were going for 70,000 to 80,000 anyway. So I was comfortable with like a 140 total, like with the rehab and everything.
Right. That's
what I was comfortable with. I really should have went and did a little more research to see like what these houses were going for, because really these houses are really going for, and I learned this after I signed the contract, they were really going for mid-50s, 60 tops. So I paid anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 more than I really should have for the property.
Okay.
Would I have gotten it? I don't know. But the fact of the matter is I paid more. How did I find that out? When I went to closing. When I went to closing.
On the closing list, it has all of your numbers and all of the buyers' numbers, all the sellers and buyers' numbers. Yep.
So I go there, and when you get a house from a wholesaler, there's something called an assignment fee. Huh. And it said $53,000 goes to the seller, which was his, so all he wanted was $53,000 anyway, and the wholesaler got $20,000. Yes. So
when you were negotiating, you were negotiating with the wholesaler, not the
right.
Not the
you don't
seller.
know because that's what it is. We're off market.
Right.
So wholesaler comes in. They know that this person wants to sell their house. Oh, you want 53 for it? All right. Don't. Let's not go to the realtor and put it on the market. Let's see what we can get for it. And they advertise it. They don't have to, they're not, you're not cutting into their profit or anything like that. So they go do it off market and they mark up the price. So they made 23s on me. And it's the name of the game. I'm fine with everybody making their money, but I definitely, felt some sort of way about it.
Hindsight is 20/20.
Yeah, I definitely felt some sort of way about that. I'm not gonna lie. I said what? 73 is what I paid. I put 70 into it.
Okay.
So my top number is 143 as far as what I put into it, and 189 is what it's on the market for now, and it's under contract for 189. I could get into some other things as it relates to the numbers if you like, but it's up to you. So one thing that people should understand before they get into this is like, okay, well, he put $143,000 into it. Let's call it 140. It's on the market on the contract for 190. Oh, he made $50,000. Oh, I don't know if my math is right. So boom, he makes $50,000. Done. No, it does not work that way whatsoever. And you need to know these numbers before you walk into it. There are a lot of costs. You got to pay you. And a lot.
And then you also have to pay the buyer's agent.
Yes, and I didn't realize that.
They get their 3%.
I realized that before I got into it. but you know, I didn't know that. Like just walking in, I thought
the seller pays his commission on.
Yeah, you know. So in my case, that's 6% on that sales price. That's 11 grand.
Oh, you paid the full 3% for the buyer and this. Oh.
Yeah.
Because usually most sellers pay the 2.5, and then where we have to, as realtors, our buyers have to pay that additional like 0.5%.
That's good to know. I'm paying the whole 6. So,
but one reason why you may have had more buyers come through the door is because and although we do typically pick properties that our buyers want,
right,
seeing that full 3% and knowing that we're not going to have to pass on additional costs to our clients is a perk.
It's a perk, you know. So that's 11 grand right there, pretty much.
Yep.
So you take that off of the 50, and then, you know, particularly if you're doing FHA, they're gonna want some sort of seller's assistance. So in my case, it was 4.5. I counted to 3. They came back at 4. So that became, I don't know, another $7,500. So that comes off to 50. You know, you got your closing costs is probably gonna be about 6 grand. So by the time you go through it all, I mean, you know, it looks like you're about to make 50 grand, but you're actually, you know, in that 15, you know, after it's all said and done. And then you got to pay Uncle Sam. So, you know, which that's like 37%. And then, you know, you're left with, you know, 10 grand or whatever, you know. So these are things that you really need to know on the front end, because if you don't know it on the front end, you could have lost that $50,000.
You could have, especially if you had bought a house, if you had paid more and not done your numbers and not done your math, and then the end you're looking
100,000%. And then, you know, you get into behind the walls and there's, you know, termites or something crazy. You got to come on the roof has a problem or something you didn't realize. And, you know what happens at that.
All right. So everyone, so this is a wrap. Thank you so much, Edwin, for being here and talking to us about what it's like to be a first-time investor. And don't forget that on November 2nd, we will be having, the Savage Home Group will be having our Investors Lunch and Learn. And a link to how to register will be below in the comments. So it's your girl, Agent Brandy Davis. Thank you.